Hello everybody, my name is Wilder, and Shin Megami Tensei 5 is a game that I've mentioned quite a few times on my channel. I made a what I'm hoping for video about it, and even put it as number 1 in my most anticipated games of 2021 list. Well, the release date for it is coming up really soon, November 12th. And with it just around the corner, Atlus decided to drop the announcement of some Day 1 DLC. I know, Day 1 DLC, yeah, it sucks. Sucks DLC announced before the game is even released, but it's not really surprising to anyone anymore, is it? It's just a thing that happens now. But that doesn't really matter to me, because this time, unlike other games that I've played and I've loved that have Day 1 DLC, this is actually something I want. Which, is probably why it's DLC. So Atlus announced a few DLC packs that will be coming to SMT5 and releasing alongside the game. The first one is actually free. A brand new difficulty called Safety Mode will be a free downloadable DLC on launch day, and it's for players who want to experience the story of SMT5 without having to worry about battles or difficulty at all. Pretty cool. As for the paid DLC though, there are 3 here that are pretty basic. First one's called Mitama Dance of EXP. It'll increase the spawn rate of Kushi Mitama, which is an enemy that will drop items that give the protagonist extra experience points. And Ara Mitama, which will do the same thing, except the item that it drops will give your ally demons in your party experience points. The second one, Mitama Dance of Wealth, same type of thing. It'll spawn more Saki Mitama, which will drop items you can sell for Maka, the in-game currency. And the third is Mitama Dance of Miracles, which will spawn more Nigi Mitama, which give the protagonist extra glory, which is needed to learn new miracles, which are skills. These 3 DLC packs are all separate, and they'll each cost $2.99 USD. We've seen this type of stuff a ton as DLC, namely for the Tales series is what I think of. More recent games have allowed you to buy experience points and some item packs. This DLC for SMT5 though is doing it in kind of an interesting way at least, where it ups the spawn rate of these demons that give you all this extra stuff. I should mention though that the demons will spawn in the base game without the DLC, but the spawn rate is pretty low. And something that I thought was actually pretty cool is if you purchase this DLC, you can turn it off in the options menu whenever you want. So if you play through the game for the first time with this DLC and you find it a little too easy, in your next playthrough you can just go through the game with it turned off. Or in the middle of your playthrough, just turn it off yourself. I think it's cool. I love having the option. I've already seen a few people saying they expected to see some type of experience or money boosting DLC. Like I said before, it's become pretty common for RPGs, and well, here it is. They're pretty cheap individually and kind of overall, but not worth it in my opinion. Just not with the way I play games at least. I love grinding for both experience and money in video games, but that's just me. But now on to the boss packs. There are 4 DLC packs that will add extra bosses to the game who are also recruitable. You'll be able to find these bosses through special in-game quests that will be added after your purchase. We'll start with the cheapest first. The Doctor's Last Wish will be $2.99 US, just like the Mitama DLC, and will allow you to fight Mephisto, who has made quite a few appearances throughout the Shin Megami Tensei series, but not a whole lot. The last we saw of him was actually recently in the DLC that was released for SMT4 Apocalypse on the 3DS. Interesting that they're bringing back this fight, but it's only $3, so if you're interested, that's pretty cool. And Mephisto is able to be recruited after you win the fight. You also have the option to redo the fight as many times as you want as well, which is really cool. Next up, also for $2.99 US, is the Rage of a Queen DLC. This DLC will let you fight Cleopatra, who funny enough was also an SMT4 Apocalypse DLC boss. Just like with Mephisto, Cleopatra can be recruited after you win the fight, and you're allowed to redo the fight as many times as you want. The next DLC is exactly the same, but it has our first price increase. It's going to be $4.99 US, and it's called A Goddess in Training. This DLC, just like the last 2, it'll add Artemis as a boss fight to the game. You'll be able to recruit her and redo her fight as many times as you want. So those 3 are all pretty similar with what content they bring to the game, with the fights and demons themselves being the big differences. Let me know if you're super interested in fighting any of them and recruiting any of them. But here's the last one, and the one that, like quite a lot of other people, I'm the most excited for. The most expensive DLC at $9.99 US is titled Return of the True Demon, and it adds quite a bit to the game. It's all boss fights, that's what the DLC is mainly about, but this one, unlike the others, adds a lot. With this DLC, after progressing to a certain point in the game, you'll get access to the Return of the True Demon subquest, which will allow you to fight the legendary 9 Fiends, as they're known in Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. Matador, Hellbiker, White Rider, Red Rider, Black Rider, Pale Rider, Mother Harlot, and Trumpeter. These fiends will make their appearances as you progress through the story. Now, you won't be able to redo any of the fights after you beat them the first time, but that's because once you've beaten all of them, you will then be able to fight the Demi-Fiend himself. If you don't know, the Demi-Fiend is the main character of Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, which is what this whole DLC pack is based on. Unfortunately, we won't be able to recruit the Demi-Fiend into our party, which is kinda understandable. That would be like super OP, even if I really want it. But we will be able to redo his fight as many times as we want. Now, this is the DLC pack that I'm going to be buying for a few reasons, but before I get into that, I have to say this. If you are interested in these DLC packs, if you want them all of them, you can save money, about $5, if you buy the Digital Deluxe Edition of the game. It includes SMT5 and all the DLC I listed here for $5 less than what all the DLC individually adds to the final price of the base game. So instead of $90, you'll be paying $85. If you're buying digital, then it's something to consider. On top of that though, if you don't want the Mitama DLC, then buying just the DLC boss packs individually will save you like $5 compared to the Digital Deluxe Edition price, so, I mean, depending on what you're looking for, there are options for you. However, like I said, I'm only interested in the Return of the True Demon DLC. Makes sense that they would add Nocturne DLC to SMT5 too, with Nocturne releasing on current gen platforms recently, including the Switch, which is where SMT5 will be releasing exclusively. A lot of people got to play Nocturne for the first time this year, so this DLC might interest them a lot depending on how they like the game. But for me, as much as I love Nocturne, I'm interested in this DLC because of Digital Devil Saga. Digital Devil Saga was one of the SMT games released on the PlayStation 2 back in the day. I'm actually a pretty big fan of the game and its sequel. But one of my favorite parts of this game by far is the Demi-Fiend fight. Yeah, the Demi-Fiend is in Digital Devil Saga. He's an optional boss you're able to fight on your second playthrough, and he is super tough. Considered to be one of the hardest bosses of all time, the Demi-Fiend fight is no joke. Not only because he hits like a truck, but he has multiple demons that he calls to his side. If you don't beat them fast enough, they will fully heal him, and he just keeps resummoning them, by the way. If you block any element, he will one-shot you. And on top of that, they threw a little RNG into the fight, where if you don't fall asleep when Pixie attempts to make you, then you get one-shot. This fight is so brutal, it's so difficult, and it is so much fun to me. I've watched other people do it, I've done it myself, I love it, and that's why I want to get this DLC pack. I want to see what this fight is going to be like. It's recommended for this DLC that you wait until post-game to fight the Demi-Fiend, which honestly gives me a lot of hope. In the trailer that showed off the DLC packs though, they showed the Demi-Fiend with Pixie. If you've played Nocturne, you're probably like, oh, Pixie, oh, it's his first demon, he's with his first demon, oh, I love it. But if you fought him in Digital Devil Saga, then it's both funny and terrifying to see that Pixie at his side in the trailer. It really is. I just want this fight to be super hard. I want to be destroyed over and over again. I want to claw my way through this fight. I mean, I'm paying for it. You know, I'm paying for it. Just give it to me. Give me the perfect, extremely difficult EX boss I wanted in SMT5. I even compared what I wanted to the Demi-Fiend fight in my What I'm Hoping For video for this game. Something that was both optional and super difficult. And here we go. I can't wait to get to this fight. If nothing else, I'm already 110% on board. I know some people are upset that these bosses are paid DLC, and worse than that, day one DLC. They think that they should be in the base game to begin with, especially if they're already done before the game comes out. I agree, I really do. I miss finding these bosses in the world on their own in the game. But I mean, I'm gonna buy it, you know, I really am, and I'm really excited for it, so I'm going for it. And I'm glad the pack is only $10, because I've seen a lot worse for a lot less. Believe me, I've seen worse for less, especially when it comes to day one DLC. But anyway, I'm hyped and very happy. Let me know what you think about all the DLC packs coming to the game, and let me know what you think about the Return of the True Demon DLC pack. 10 bosses, one of them being the Demi-Fiend for $10. You think it's worth it? Let me know in the comments below, because that's going to be it from me today. Thank you all so much for watching. In the description is my Patreon, my Twitter, all that good stuff. And remember, I will see you in the next one.